Oh, hello again. We really should stop meeting like this. The neighbours will start to talk. Coming up on today's live stream, we'll be talking about relocating. Have you ever had to relocate to another town, city, or country? And of course, today we'll be talking about other things, including private information. How do you feel about your personal details being distributed across the internet without you knowing? And after 3 o'clock, Mr. Steve will be here. Hopefully today we will get around talking about uses of the word set. And of course, you are more than welcome to join in on the live chat. After all, it's just after 2 o'clock here in the UK. It's a Sunday afternoon, and this is Live English. Oh my goodness. Are you ready? The big question is, am I ready? Am I ready? Yes, I am. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Well, are you? Are you happy? I really, really hope so. Here we go again. It is a Sunday afternoon here in the UK. Yes, we are live once again on YouTube. It's Mr. Duncan. That's me, by the way. I'm Mr. Duncan, and I'm very pleased to be here with you today, live on YouTube. Lots of people already joining me on the live chat. Wow, I'm overwhelmed by all the people who have joined me so far, and I've only been on for less than 5 minutes. Can you believe it? So thanks for joining me today. Lots of things to talk about. We will be talking about quite a few things today, and if you have any topics you wish to talk about, you are more than welcome to do so. It's been a busy week here in the UK. Lots of things going on around this area. Of course, summertime is just around the corner. I went into town yesterday with Mr. Steve, and the middle of the town centre was full of people everywhere yesterday. So lots of people coming to see the sights and listen to the sounds of Much Wenlock. So yes, a very, very busy day yesterday in town. So it looks as if summer is just around the corner. You can always tell because lots of tourists start arriving. I did promise on Wednesday night to show you some shots, some video footage of the new lambs. So here we go. These are the new lambs that were born last week. Oh yes, there they are. Can you see them? Aren't they beautiful? So some new arrivals. And aren't they beautiful? Some little baby lambs. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get near to them. So that's the reason why I'm filming from very far away. I wanted to get very close to them. But you have to remember that at this time of year, there are lots of newborn lambs around. And sometimes the mother can get a little bit scared, a little bit worried. So sometimes it's best not to get too close to them if they are new-born lambs. So there you can see, aren't they lovely? Oh, I don't know about you, but I love the sound of newborn lambs. There is something so lovely and cute about the sound of a newborn lamb, isn't it? Oh dear. Oh look, they're following the mother. Isn't that cute? Do we pronounce the B in lambs? No, you don't. You don't say lamb. You say lamb. Lamb. So the M, the letter M, will end the word. So we don't say lamb. We say lamb. lamb. The lambs. Oh, and there you can see some little baby lambs filmed just 3 or 4 days ago. And I think they were only about a day old anyway. So there you can see some little lambs. Of course, later in the season we will get some slightly more grown-up looking lambs. Would you like to see some lambs from late spring? Okay, here we go. Here they come. Oh, aren't they beautiful? Look at that. Oh, and you can hear them as well. So these are some lambs in late spring, and this is some video footage that I filmed about 3 years ago. But there you can see the lambs and the mothers. Of course, female lamb. A female lamb is called a ewe. Ewe. E-W-E. Ewe. And you can see there is a little baby lamb there. So these are lambs in late spring, and these were actually filmed at the back of my house about 3 years ago. Sadly, this year we haven't got any animals at the back of the house. Normally, each year we normally get some animals at the back of the house, but this year, sadly, there aren't any. None at all. So that's a shame. But last year we had some baby bulls, and this year nothing. There is nothing there. And 3 years ago we had some baby lambs in the back behind the house, and there you can see 2 lambs playing. It looks like they're fighting. Yes, look, they're fighting each other. Or should I say, they are pretending to fight. The lambs look like a goat. Yes, one of them. Yes, it does look like a goat. But sometimes lambs will also fight. They will headbutt each other. They will crash into each other with their heads. So there you go. And you can see, oh, look, that sheep has a poorly leg. There is something wrong with its leg. That's not very nice. So there you can see some shots of lambs in late spring. I hope you enjoyed those. Oh, so lovely. And as I said earlier, there's nothing nicer than the sound of lambs. I absolutely love it. I love the sound of lambs. Oh, how cute. So lots of people on the live chat. Shall we have a look at the live chat? Okay then. And there it is. Look, as if by magic, we have the live chat on the screen. Let's see what's going on there, shall we? So 1 or 2 people on the live chat, and quite a few people wanting to say hello. Hello, Mr. Duncan, and hi to the class from Kamel. Hello, Sukat. Nice to see you here again. Murat is here. Hi, everyone in the whole world. Spring is coming, and the nature is almost back, looking great. But people are so awful in the world. Why are there wars in the world? I hope there can be peace. Well, who knows? Maybe one day. Maybe the human race will learn its lesson before it's too late. Lost Man is here. Hello, Lost Man. Nice to see you back again. Of course, you were here on Wednesday night, which is a good time to mention that I am also live on YouTube every Wednesday night from 10 p.m. UK time. So you can follow me and watch me every Wednesday and also every Sunday as well. Where is Tias? Is Tias here? Because last week Tias went for a job interview at the British Embassy. So I wonder how that went. Maybe we will have some good news today. Vadim says, I am watching the game between Arsenal and I'm listening to you at the same time. Yes, a lot of football action taking place today. Not very far away from where I live, there is a big match taking place between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Birmingham City. I live not very far away from Wolverhampton. I used to live there in the past, in fact. So I used to live in Wolverhampton, but then I moved away. I moved to a place called Much Wenlock, and it's quite nice here. I like it. I like it a lot. When do they cut the hair of the lambs? Do you mean the wool? So when do they cut the wool from the lambs? Normally they do that during the summertime. So normally around about June, maybe even May, sometimes as early as April. It just depends on the weather conditions. But quite often during the early summer they will remove the wool from the lambs. We call it shearing. They shear the lambs. They remove, well, actually not the lambs, it's actually the sheep. It's the sheep that they shear, not the lambs. So when we say the hair of the lambs or hair of the sheep, we actually mean the wool. The wool. Tomek, hi there. How's your weekend so far? It's not too bad, Tomek. Thanks a lot. I tell you what we're doing at the moment. We are preparing to do a little bit of DIY here at home. So at the moment we are preparing to do a little bit of maintenance on the kitchen. Now, for those who have been watching over the past few months, you might notice that my kitchen sometimes looks a little bit messy, a little bit untidy. So we are going to do a little bit of decorating over the next couple of weeks, and we might do it during the live stream, who knows. So we will see what happens with that. But yes, that is something that we are planning to do. In fact, can I let you on a little secret? Mr. Steve has already started doing some of the decorating today. He's already started today, yes. So Mr. Steve will be here, of course, after 3 o'clock. We can see Mr. Steve live on YouTube after 3 o'clock. I hope you will join me then. Talking of nature, a lot of nature going on in the garden at the moment. Would you like to see a new visitor to my garden? Yes, there was a new visitor this week. A new bird arrived in my garden, which made me very excited indeed. And there it is. This particular bird is called a brambling. Brambling. And this particular bird you can see here is actually a young brambling. It is actually a young fledgling, which is very unusual because normally you don't see bramblings in the garden. And this is a fledgling. It is a chick that has obviously got lost because it's on its own. So there it is, a little brambling in the garden, and it looks a little bit lost between you and me. It looks a little bit lost. So there it is. Unfortunately, the bird did not turn round. I was waiting for it to turn round and say hello to me. But it is a very unusual looking bird, and it is a very rare visitor to the garden. They actually come from Eastern Europe during the winter. And there it is. There is an adult brambling. Now, I didn't take these photographs. This isn't mine. So these are some pictures of the brambling. This is an adult male brambling. Very lovely bird, often mistaken for a chaffinch. So lots of people often will think that this bird, when they see it, they think it is a chaffinch. But it isn't. It is not a chaffinch. It is a brambling. And it is a very rare bird. Certainly very rare to see it in the garden, because normally they are very shy birds, and they come every winter to the UK from Eastern Europe. They visit during the cold months in the UK. So So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of nature there. Oh, talking of which, something else I want to mention. Oh my goodness, so much to talk about as far as nature is concerned. So much to talk about. I also spotted this week a blackbird preparing to build its nest. Would you like to see that? So much nature to look at the moment, because spring is a very busy time of the year. It's very busy. So if you look very carefully, you will be able to see a blackbird hopping along the top of the wall, and then it jumps down. Any second, there it goes, and it will start to collect some of the dead plant. Can you see it? And it's taking it away, and it will build. It didn't hang around for very long. It's gone already. Very lovely. Very nice indeed. So, it's a Sunday afternoon. I hope you are okay. I'm just getting used to using my new encoder, by the way. I'm testing some new equipment here. So if sometimes I seem a little bit confused by what is going on, well, there's nothing new there, is there really? Because quite often I get very confused about what is happening. But I will try to keep it together for as long as I can. My voice is going already, can you believe it? So the live chat is very busy. Thanks for joining me today. Pierre is here. Hello, Pierre. As I told you last Sunday, I have a fractured pelvis. I slipped on some ice when I was going for a jog, and I suffered very much. 6 weeks in hospital, and I'm glad to see you again. Thank you very much. I think also we have Harry. Hello, Harry. Where are you watching at the moment? I'm always very interested to find out where people are watching. Nicole is here. What other flowers except daffodils do you have in your garden at the moment? Well, I can show you a live picture of the garden right now. Would you like to have a look outside? So what you can see now is a live shot of the garden. Here it comes right now. Oh, there it is. So we are now looking outside live into the garden. That is a live picture, and you can see there are some daffodils, but at the moment there isn't much else. Everything is very late this year because we've had a very wet and very cold spring. So because of that, all of the flowers and all of the trees, they are coming out very late. In fact, even the birds are taking a very long time to start breeding this year because of the very wet and very cold winter. Quite bad, in fact. The pink flower you can see is heather. It's called heather. And as I mentioned last week, you can find heather in many parts of the area where I live, in Shropshire. So there is lots and lots of heather everywhere around the area in which I live. So there is a live shot. We might see Mr. Steve out there wandering around because he was out there earlier on. But at the moment, as I mentioned earlier, we are planning to do some DIY. Can you hear the sounds of the birds? Ah. Between you and me, I love the sound of nature. I really do. I love it so much. We might have a little bit more of that later on. We might have a little bit more of the nature. We will see what happens. So it's live English on a Sunday afternoon. We're talking about a lot of things today, by the way, including... Now, I don't always like to do serious topics, as you know. I always like to have a little bit of fun when I'm teaching English or talking about the English language. But today we are going to talk about a couple of things, and you are more than welcome to join in. We're going to talk about your personal information. Do you worry? Are you concerned about the way in which your personal information is used especially on the internet. So there we go, your personal information. Do you ever worry about how your information is being used, especially on the internet? Because over the past few days you may have noticed that Facebook have been in quite a lot of trouble for selling people's data to other companies and using it to target people. Now the real problem is that the data that they have been using is not just one person's data, but it's millions of people. Their data has been used, and quite often without them realizing it. So they haven't realized that their information has actually been used, and that is why it is causing a lot of fuss at the moment. So your personal information, we can also say data as well. So a person's personal information or their personal data. Their data. Of course, in American English they say data. But I like to say data. So there you go. Also today we are talking about whether or not in your life you have ever had to relocate to another area or to another place. So have you ever had to relocate or move to another place? Maybe for work, maybe you've had to move to another part of the town, or maybe to a completely different place, or maybe to a completely different country. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later on as well. So have you in your life, have you ever had to relocate? Have you ever had to move to another area for your work? Or maybe your family has decided to move to another place. So have you ever relocated? In my life, I have relocated maybe 3 times in total. Big relocations. So when I've moved from one place to another, quite often due to work. And we'll be talking about that later on. Back to the live chat, because of course that's what we're here to do, to talk to you. Mr. Duncan, Heather is also a female name. Yes, it is, Nicole. You can use the word or name Heather to name a female. Hello to Harry, who is watching in India. I'm always very interested to know where you are watching, to be honest. I'm always interested to find out where you are. Tomek says, the crazy little thing called love made me relocate to another country. Ah, I see. So Tomek fell in love with someone from another country and you moved there to be with them. That's so romantic. Can I just say that's very, very romantic. I have relocated twice in my life, says Harry. Pedro Belmont. Hello, Pedro. Nice to see you. I always avoid giving my personal information like my numbers or accounts or my address. Yes, a lot of people have become more aware of how they share their personal details. Now, I always notice this when I look on Facebook, because a lot of people share quite a lot of their own information on Facebook. And sometimes they forget and they share it publicly so everyone can see it. Hashim is here. Hello, Hashim. Hello, Mr. Duncan. I am from Sudan. What is the difference between a sheep and a lamb? The sheep is the adult and the lamb is the baby or the young sheep. So a young sheep or a baby sheep is called a lamb. Lamb. Simona is here. Thanks for joining me, Simona. Hello, Mr. Duncan. How are you? I had to relocate twice in my life from one city to another. Yes, I think that the most common reason for moving to another place the most common reason for relocating is because of your work, or maybe, like Tomek, you moved because of a personal reason. Maybe you fell in love with someone, which I think is very romantic indeed. TS is here. Hello, TS. How did your interview go? I know you went along last week to attend a job interview. I was a little worried to put my data on the internet. Even at first, I put TS Tia. Oh, yes, I remember that. That used to be your YouTube name, didn't it? Well, TS, don't worry. I think most people know most of the things about me now. They know where I live. They know the location. It's Much Wenlock. They know it's in England. They know how old I am. But to be honest, I don't worry too much about my personal information because, sadly, one of the things that happens when you become well known, and I hate to say it, but I have become well known, is that people find out things about you. They find out where you live and how old you are and all sorts of things. So if you become well known, if you become a person who is very visible in the public eye, people become very interested in your life. They become very interested in the things you do in your life. So I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. I shouldn't be too surprised by that. Back to the live chat, and then we'll have a look at one of my full English lessons. Your life is like an open book, Mr. Duncan. Yes, I know what you mean. My life is like an open book. It is very open because quite often you will see the way in which I live. You will see the inside of my house. Not many people like to do that. Not many people feel comfortable sharing the inside of their house. Certainly not over the internet anyway. Mr. Duncan, you are a star. Oh, thank you, Kamel, for that. That's very kind of you. Is Mr. Steve resting? No, he isn't. He's doing a little bit of work in the kitchen at the moment. We are planning to do some decorating in the kitchen because you may have noticed that the kitchen looks a little bit untidy. In fact, since moving here, we haven't done any decorating at all in the kitchen. So the kitchen is pretty much the way it looked when we moved here. So this year we are going to do a little bit of decorating in the kitchen to make it look a little bit more pleasant to the eye. Because it hasn't looked very nice, to be honest. Mr. Steve the other week was very shocked at how bad the kitchen looks on the camera. So yes, we will be doing a little bit of redecorating in the kitchen over the next couple of weeks, and you might get to see some of it on the live stream. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Oh, everyone's interested in what I'm doing in my kitchen. Oh, I see. It seems that the rural area is where you live. Yes, it is. Do people plant the land where you are? Yes, Bella. There are many farms very close to where I live. There is lots of farmland nearby. So, yes, we have many farms, many farmers, and lots of wild animals as well. And, of course, on the farmland, there are sheep. There are cattle, and I think there is a farm near me. They also keep, I think it's geese. They breed geese. So yes, you can hear the geese sometimes at night. What kind of decorating are you doing, Mr. Duncan? Anna, thank you, Anna, for saying hello. What kind of decorating? We will be doing some painting. And also I am going to try and make all of the cupboards in the kitchen look new. although I think I've got a pretty tough job ahead of me there. Actually, it was for a scholarship interview. Oh, okay, TS. So it wasn't a job interview, it was for a scholarship. Oh, okay. I think it wasn't good. I just give the rest to God. Okay, then, well, we will see what happens. I will have my fingers crossed for you, TS. We will see what happens in the future. Sukat, I shouldn't show the house from the outside, just in case there are any intruders or burglars. Well, if there are any burglars watching, don't worry. I can tell you now that we have nothing in the house worth stealing. If you want to steal Mr. Steve, you can. If you want to break into the house and steal Mr. Steve, you are more than welcome. Lost Man says, I can't catch the meaning of many words during the live chat. Must I watch your lessons from lesson 1? Well, I would say that you should watch as many things as possible. So not just lesson 1, but try to watch many different things. Listen to many different types of English. So my live stream is very good for those who want to practice their listening skills, because everything that happens is live. So all of this is not planned. Everything happens spontaneously. So none of this is planned. So that's one of the reasons why the live stream is very useful, because it gives you a chance to listen to English being spoken without any planning. So I haven't planned this. Everything I'm saying to you now is spontaneous. By the way, do you like my little daffodil? Can you see my daffodil there? Isn't my daffodil cute? I picked that from the garden yesterday. I did. So don't worry if you don't understand everything I say. It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. It all takes time. I remember when I visited France, I saw lots and lots of planted land. So you saw lots of farmland with corn, grapes and other types of crops. I wonder what they plant in your town. Well, near here they grow wheat. They also grow barley, and over the past few years it has become very popular around here to grow rapeseed. So the yellow rapeseed that you see quite often now across the fields. So many farmers now are moving towards things like, they call it biofuels. So things that can be used in many ways. And one of the particular things that many farmers are growing now is rapeseed, because it can be used in food and also it can be used as fuel as well. So, Mr. Steve will be here. Don't worry. A lot of people are asking, where is Mr. Steve? Where is he? Don't worry. He'll be here after 3 o'clock. Oh, they really do love Mr. Steve. Dibby-dibby-dib-doo-doo-doo. It's a Sunday afternoon and it's live English with Mr. Duncan. That's me, by the way. And we have lots of things coming up. We are now going to take a look at an excerpt from one of my full English lessons. And this is taken from Full English number 10. And there are some lovely springtime sights in this particular lesson. In these modern times of fast-paced media feeds and an ever-increasing connection with the media through technology, it is necessary for those in the public eye to make statements and comments more often. With this need comes the increase in the use of something called rhetoric. The word rhetoric is a noun that describes the use of words and phrases in a hollow, insincere way, while sounding genuine on the surface. The clever use of words which appear on the surface to be sincere and genuine, but are in fact the opposite. A persuasive statement that appears to have meaning by using common figures of speech can be described as rhetoric. Politicians and authority figures often use rhetoric to put a positive spin on something. The use of rhetoric is seen as a negative thing. To make promises and set goals that clearly won't be kept or achieve is to use rhetoric. Can you see what is growing here behind me? These are daffodils. A daffodil is a type of bulb plant that grows during spring. Their arrival signals the onset of springtime and the milder weather. There are many different varieties of daffodil. Some are yellow, some are white, while others are orange and white. The poet William Wordsworth was so captivated by the appearance of daffodils, he wrote a verse in tribute to their natural beauty. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vale and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. They say that grammar is the hardest part of learning English. It is not just the rules of grammar that many people find confusing, but the actual memorizing of them all. There are some tricks to remembering certain grammar rules. A common mistake in spelling is the confusion between the placing of the letter I and the letter E in words. To help you remember, try learning this phrase: I before E, except after C. Other simple tags include ing ends a doing word, or is used as a gerund when a noun is heard. General grammar rules can be learnt through the following poem. A noun's a person's place or thing, or sometimes even times, like spring. A verb tells what the subject does, like jumps or fishes, is or was. An adjective describes a noun, like happy, ugly, rich or brown. An adverb tells you how or when, like quietly or well or when. A pronoun takes the noun's own place, like they for children, she for Grace. A preposition leads a noun. In bed, at sea, or to the town. Conjunctions are a bridge across two sentences, but, and, because. The interjections, last of all, like oh and ouch, are very small. Do you have an affinity with something? Is there something or someone you have an affinity with? The word affinity means a natural liking for or an understanding of something. A natural connection means that you do not have to force yourself to do it. The connection or understanding comes naturally. For example, to have an affinity with numbers means that you are naturally good at arithmetic. A relationship can form from the affinity between two people. They get along together naturally, without the need to force themselves. Long-term friendships and relationships are often built on a mutual affinity. To have an affinity can also mean a connection between things with similar characteristics. When two things relate, they have an affinity. The affinity shared between animals, plants, places, and languages. Dibby dibby dib dib doo. And there it was, one of my full English lessons, and you can catch all of my full English lessons on my YouTube channel. If you look below this live stream, or if you are watching it later on the recording, all of my playlists are under this video. If you're watching on your computer or your desktop, you can find all of the information and all of the playlists. Everything I've made during the past 11 years, it's all there on my playlists. I have had some very unwelcome visitors this week to my house. I did mention this last week, and I'm going to show you now exactly what I mean by unwelcome visitors. Take a look at this. Now, this is something last week that I filmed. In fact, this was just 2 days ago in my conservatory, and look, can you see what has happened? I have a ladybird invasion. There are ladybirds everywhere. I don't know what's going on this year. It's gone crazy. Many of these ladybirds have been hibernating during the winter, and now they are all waking up, but for some reason, and I still don't know why, they all seem to be in the house. So not just outside, but also inside the house. The other day I had to throw so many ladybirds out of the window. I didn't kill them, before anyone asks. I didn't kill the ladybirds. I just put them outside, and of course when you put them outside they fly away. So there you can see an infestation. That's a great word, by the way. Infestation. If you have an infestation, it means that you have a lot of something. So I have an infestation of ladybirds. They are everywhere. And this was just a couple of days ago. And it's crazy. They're everywhere. In the house. I was sitting on the toilet the other day. I was actually sitting on the toilet, and a ladybird landed somewhere. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to say where the ladybird landed, but it landed somewhere very embarrassing. That's all I'm saying. So the ladybirds are everywhere at the moment. I can't get rid of them. And I have a feeling we are going to have even more ladybirds over the next few weeks, because the weather is getting warmer and warmer. The live chat is open for you to say hi. Today we are talking about relocating. What does invasion mean? To invade means to go onto another person's land or property, to go into a place that you don't own or a place that is not yours. Invasion. You invade somewhere. Alice. Yes, that's a very good example. A river can be crocodile infested. I like that. Well done. Thanks a lot for that. Super duper. Are you among those looking forward to a new child in the royal family? Thank you, Natalia. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to it, because it means that it's another baby that we have to pay for, because the taxpayer, that means me and everyone else living here in the UK, has to pay for the royal family. So yes, you could say that it will be another mouth for us all to feed. So I'm not sure if I'm completely happy with it. Let's just say. Hello, Mr. Duncan, says JC Geordie. Hello to you. Nice to see you. Sela says ladybug. Yes, you can say ladybug or you can say ladybird. So here in the UK we say ladybird, and in the United States they say ladybug. Oh, look, there they are. Thank you, Jamelia. Don't kill the ladybirds. Don't worry, I won't. I don't kill them, I just put them outside and they fly away. So don't worry. I did not harm any ladybirds. Although, having said that, sometimes they get in the way. So maybe they land on the carpet. And when they land on the floor, you can't see them. So sometimes you might accidentally squash them. Accidentally, not on purpose. So sometimes I might accidentally squash the occasional ladybird, but I don't do it on purpose, so don't worry about that. I'm not a ladybird serial killer. Oh, would you like to have another look at a bird? Another look at one of the birds in my garden. This is one of my favourite birds that comes quite often to the garden, and there it is. Can you see it? Oh, what a lovely bird. This is called a nuthatch. And this bird is very common around the area in which I live. It is a resident of this country, and that means it doesn't fly anywhere else. It doesn't fly abroad. It doesn't go to another country during the winter or summer. So this particular bird is called a nuthatch. And the reason why it's called a nuthatch is because of the way it feeds. It takes the nut and it eats the nut. It cracks the nut on a crevice, on a tree, or in the corner of a rock. So a nuthatch is a very interesting bird. Oh, and there it goes. They are also very shy birds. So there it was, yet another bird. I've been showing you lots of birds today because nature is waking up in the garden. Would you like to have another look in the garden? Okay. I know lots of people like to see the garden, so here it comes again, and we can have some live sound as well. Here it comes. Ooh. Ooh, very nice. Very nice indeed. So there it is, a live view and live sound as well. I was going to go outside today, but the weather forecast is not very good today. It says that we're going to have some rain. So I decided not to do it. But maybe later we might go outside. I might get Mr. Steve to run around outside a little bit later on, just to prove that what you are looking at is live. Just in case you think that this is pre-recorded, it is not. Ooh, a lot of people on the live chat. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have the live chat and the live garden view at the same time. The ladybirds have 7 dots or 7 points Yes, ladybirds can look very different. There are all sorts of ladybirds. So some ladybirds are red with black spots, whilst some ladybirds are black with red spots. Alice, you have an affinity with animals, Mr. Duncan. Yes, I love nature very much. That's the reason why I moved to the countryside, because I love nature. I like being around nature, and I love the sound of nature. Can you hear it? Lovely. I like it very much. The nuthatch. Yes, in Spanish it is Trepatrosonicos. I'm sure I've mispronounced that. It means climb trunks. Well, yes, it's funny you should say that, Sukat, because the nuthatch is very similar in appearance to the woodpecker. They have a very similar shape to the woodpecker. And as I understand it, the nuthatch is the only bird that can climb up and down trees. So it doesn't just fly, it can also climb and wander around the tree. And of course, we have woodpeckers that are very similar. Have you got frogs in your garden? Rivet, 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 rivet. Yes, we sometimes get frogs in the garden, sometimes, especially during the winter when everything is damp. We normally get lots of frogs in the winter. Hung Nguyen is here. Hello from Vietnam. Hello to Hung Nguyen. Oh, I think the squirrel was in the garden just. Did you see the squirrel running around? Thank you, Hung Nguyen. Nice to see you. Tias is sending a message to Lost Man. As my advice, you can watch Mr. Duncan's very first lesson, then it will autoplay to the next. Yes, you can use my playlists. I have some lovely playlists on my YouTube channel, and also they are underneath this video. Josephix asks, why can't I send my message? Well, I can see your message. It is now on the screen in front of me. In fact, I think everyone can see it. Sukat, we have frogs, and sometimes the river will run 10 meters or so from our house. Oh, that's so nice. Imagine that. Imagine having a river running very close to your house. I love the sound of water. Although I think after a while it might get very annoying. Alice says there is a squirrel in your garden running around. Yes, and I saw it just. Squirrels are very annoying. In fact, at the moment there is a squirrel staring at me. There is a squirrel in the garden at the moment staring at me. It doesn't look very happy. There it is. Can you see it? I think that squirrel wants to have a staring contest. Okay, everyone, let's all stare at the squirrel. Yes. What are you looking at? Why are you staring at me, Mr. Squirrel? Are you after my nuts? I think so. Naughty squirrel. Sometimes the squirrels can be very, very annoying, to be honest. They can be very annoying indeed. Wow! Guess what? I've just realised that we are coming up towards 3 o'clock. In a moment, Mr. Steve will be here. But first of all, I'm going to have a drink of water. Do you mind? Okay. Quite a few people are making comments about the squirrel. The staring squirrel. The squirrel looks very big. Yes, it's very fat at the moment because during the winter they normally put on a lot of weight so they can survive the cold days, the cold and harsh winter days. Thank you, Atif, for that. Hassan is here. Are there snakes there? Well, around here I don't think we have any snakes, although having said that, I think there might be grass snakes around this area. Although, having said that, I've never seen a snake. Never seen one. So, no, I don't think there are any snakes around here. At least I hope not, anyway. I really hope not. Because I'm not a big fan of snakes. I think the squirrel is very pretty. Thank you, Martha, for that. Mr. Steve, yes, he is on his way. Of course, Mr. Steve is on his way. He is preparing some things to talk about. And the big question is today, will we actually get around to talking about the uses of the word set? All will be revealed in a moment, because now it's 3 o'clock and here he comes. It's Mr. Steve. Dip 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 do 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 do. Oh, guess what Mr. Steve is wearing today? You'll never guess what he's wearing. He's wearing that very, very impressive shirt. A lot of people have commented on the shirt that you are about to see. I think this particular shirt looks very trendy, and here he is. It's Mr. Steve.
Hello. Ha ha! Oh, this old shirt. Yes, I found it upstairs. It's my Sunday live English shirt. Because I get a lot of positive comments about it, so I thought I'd wear it again today.
Oh, I know what you're doing, Steve, because I have my shirt that I always wear. So I always have this shirt.
The smiley shirt.
With the smiley face.
T-shirt.
With the smiley face. And also you have your very trendy looking shirt. It's very trendy, by the way.
This shirt is about 12 years old.
Really?
And it's bizarre because I wear it in lots of different places, but not very often. But whenever I wear it, people have seen it lots of times before, but they think it's a new shirt every time.
Really?
So, I like your new shirt.
Because you bought that whilst I was in China.
Yes, probably. I can't remember.
So when I came back from China, Mr. Steve actually had that shirt, so I didn't see him buy it. And that's something we're talking about today, by the way. We're talking about relocating. Relocating. Have you ever had to relocate to another place? Now, there are various reasons why you might relocate or move to another place. Maybe you have found a job and you have to relocate. You have to move to another area. Or, of course, as Tomac says earlier, move because of love. Maybe you fall in love with someone, Steve, and then you move to where they live.
What a lovely thought.
Actually, that's happened to one of your nephews. He's gone to live in Canada.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was just thinking of falling in love with somebody and moving to an exotic location. Like, I don't know, Italy or France or South America or somewhere exotic. But yes, you're right. My nephew, well, he actually went to be a student, and then he met somebody there. So as a result of that, so he relocated from the UK to Canada to do some studies, and he met a lovely girl there. Well, actually, I've never met her, but they've been going out together, dating for about 5-6 years. And now he's decided to stay there and make a life over there.
So that wasn't his original plan. So his original plan was actually to just go and study there and then see what happens. And then he met a beautiful girl. We're just assuming she's beautiful.
I haven't seen a picture. I haven't been introduced.
Ah, I see.
She's been back here, but we haven't been introduced. Now, another reason to relocate, of course, is that you've committed a crime or something bad in the neighbourhood, and the only way for you to carry on going is to relocate to a new location because you've done something bad in the local area,
Oh
and
my
people
goodness.
don't like you anymore, and you get a lot of hassle from people, so you have to relocate.
I think that's very drastic. It must be something very serious if you have to move away.
Well, yes. Well, yes, but people do that. For example, you might knock someone over in your car in the village you live in, and because you were a bad driver, you weren't looking, going too fast. Well, you couldn't stay living in that area if you did something like that.
No.
And that's something I always keep going on about, because where we live, it's very narrow roads, and people drive far too fast, and people are walking their dogs. One day there'll be a nasty accident, and there's only 100 houses here where we live, so if you were to knock somebody over, maybe a child coming back from school because they walk back from school down these narrow lanes, the cars are going too fast. What happens if you knocked a child over because you were going too fast? You couldn't carry on living here. No one would talk to you. You would be a pariah, a pariah in the neighbourhood. Somebody who is very badly thought of, is nobody will talk to, nobody will have anything to do with, a pariah.
You would be persona non gratis.
Yes. And you would have to probably leave. But anyway, that's negative. I want a drink already. I'm getting thirsty.
Oh, Mr. Steve. Yes, I think it's
Very
very
hot in this studio today.
You know what's happening, Steve? It's very dry in here today because I've got all the lights on and the heating. Is the heating on? Oh
No,
it
the
isn't.
heating's off.
It's so hot in here, and my throat was dry earlier as well. I was coughing. I was trying my best, and there's nothing worse. That one of the worst things that can happen to a person who is doing something live is to start coughing or sneezing. So normally before I start my live stream, I normally have a drink of water, but today can you see that bottle of water was full when I started, and now it's just over half empty. So
You need
yes.
to go to the toilet soon, Mr. Duncan.
No, I will just do what I normally do. I've got a little bucket down here, you see. So I have a bucket under my chair, and I just take a little wee, and no one ever knows.
Wonder what the smell was.
So if you
Like
hear
an old people's home.
if you hear a sound like trickling water, it's just me having a wee.
Well, it's actually raining, so it could be that.
Is it raining now?
It's raining ever so slightly.
Oh, okay. Let me just check, because let's just have a look. We've got a live camera outside. Oh, yes. Maybe the odd spot of rain at the moment, perhaps. No. But we were
Drizzle.
What's that?
Drizzle. Drizzle, which is just a very light rain.
Very light,
Drizzle.
very
Small droplets of water.
gentle rain.
Gentle rain. Drizzle.
And let's listen to the sounds as well, because we've got live vision and live sound. Can you hear? Can you hear the? Oh. So nice. Oh, I love the sound of nature. We've had a lot of nature on the show today because, first of all, we've had lots of new birds in the garden because they're getting very busy. And also, we have an invasion. I've been talking about our unwelcome visitors this week, Steve.
The continued invasion of the ladybirds. They just won't go away. I took out about another 25 today. Yes, look at that lot.
What's going on?
Crawling around. They're just everywhere. Of course, they all came in September, and they must have all hidden themselves away in cracks. And now they've all come out again because it's got warm. And I took about 25 out yesterday, about another 25 today. And they're all over the garden. Of course, you know what's going to happen in June, July? We're going to get an invasion of thrips.
Oh yes.
Thunderbugs.
They're even worse.
We'll have to tell the new neighbours.
Oh. Yes.
So lots of people have been saying they've relocated because of jobs.
So
because
yes,
they need a new job.
Quite often people will relocate because of work, or of course sometimes you can move because of family changes. Maybe that someone in a family gets another job in another location. My throat is going again. Or of course maybe they have to move for financial reasons. Sometimes a person will have to move to another area or another place because of financial reasons, or as you said, Steve, they're trying to get away from the police.
That's probably the least common. I think probably the commonest is relocating for work.
I think so.
I mean, we did that when we were growing up. My father, we relocated at least on 2 occasions, in completely different areas.
So was that because of work?
Yes, my father, work, I think his job changed, or he got a new job and we relocated at least twice, probably 3 times I seem to remember. I was too young, I think, for the first one, but I certainly remember the other 2. That was quite a... And I remember at the time, my mother, the last time we moved, when I was probably 7, she didn't want to move at all. She was very upset about it because she lived where we were living at the time, and she got quite upset. But it was my dad's job. So as he was the breadwinner, the person bringing home the bacon, earning the money, because my mother was a housewife, she didn't work at the time, then really she got no choice. So Dad had a new job, bit more money, so we moved. And it was to a lovely location, I must admit. But Mum was upset about it for some time because she made a lot of friends where she was. And of course, that's often what happens if you're a housewife. The father, the husband might be out to work all day, and he comes home, has his meals cooked, and then goes back to work. So he might not have many friends locally, but the wife may, because she's got a circle of friends, maybe go to church, go to mother's events and things like that. So she's got a big circle of friends. So moving can be quite a wrench, quite a not very nice experience.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes moving away, certainly if it's the first time you leave home, so your parents will be upset and maybe you will feel nervous, because that happened to you, didn't it, Steve? You went to study at Wolverhampton University.
I did.
Yes, so you had to do the big goodbye to your parents. So how did your mother feel when you left home?
Well, she was upset, but I was 18 at the time, and to be quite honest with you, I couldn't wait to leave home. And I think that's healthy. I think if you've got somebody, a child, who wants to leave home, I think that's healthy, because that's perfectly natural to want to leave home. Birds fly the nest. You've got to go and make your own life. You'll never, learn about life or be able to become self-sufficient if you're living at home with your parents. Of course, it's not suitable for everybody, but I wanted to leave home. Desperately wanted to leave. Not because I got an unhappy life. I hadn't. But I just wanted to leave home, see a bit of the world, and and I never went back. But of course, mothers are always very upset at the time.
So what I'm wondering as well is what would be the appropriate age for leaving home? I left home when I was 24, so I didn't actually leave home. I didn't fly away from the nest until I was 24, which some people might think is quite old to be in your mid-20s and leave home that late. So there are some people that never leave home. They might be in their 30s or 40s, and they still live at home with their parents.
Yes, well, for some people that's the right thing to do, but it's not suitable for everybody to leave home. But I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to leave home. I think it's a perfectly natural thing. Because that's what animals do. It's what everybody does, once you've been raised. Not saying you go away and then ignore your parents and never see them again.
Oh, I don't know.
But that's. But of course, nowadays, certainly in the UK, because there's a lot less money around, and houses housing is very, very expensive in the UK now, then it's more difficult for young people to leave home because they can't necessarily afford to buy a house or even to rent. So it's cheaper to stay at home with your parents. And a lot of people now who maybe left home can't afford any more the mortgage on a house or the rent, and they move back in and live with their parents.
Yes,
very commonplace now.
Lots of things going on the live chat. We've got the live chat on the screen. We've got Igor. Igor says, I left home when I was 18. Yes, I would say that the average age, I'm not generalizing here, by the way, but I would say the average age is between 18, 20, 21 years old. So I left home when I was 24, and I think that was a bit late, actually. And that I can't remember why I left home now. There was some reason why I left home. I really can't remember why I did that now.
Did your mother throw you out?
No, that was before.
Oh, right.
My mother used to threaten to throw me out of the house quite often. Sometimes she would get so angry with me, especially when I went out. I had a friend called Craig, and we used to go out sometimes and stay out till the early hours of the morning. And of course, you know, when you're young, you do have the occasional drink. So yes, and sometimes my mother would get rather annoyed if I came back very late, or sometimes I didn't come back at all for various reasons.
That was the very common reason for the other main reason for people leaving home, is that they just got married, of course, because sort of traditionally people wouldn't have moved that far from home. They would have stayed within where they were brought up, raised, and they might have got a job locally, maybe in the same factory the father was working in, or maybe the farmer, you'd work on the fields, and you wouldn't necessarily leave home until you got married. And even then, quite often married couples would stay, and still do, I think, in a lot of parts of the world and in the UK. They may even just stay together after married with the parents until they've saved up enough money so that they can move out. It all depends. A lot of it depends on money and what you want to do. Few people have asked what I studied at university. It was biological sciences.
Ooh.
So yes, I used to like sort of ecology and biochemistry and microbiology. I loved biology, but yeah, so that's what that was. But yeah, somebody asked us, I think it was Luca, what's the difference between move and relocate? They're pretty much the same thing, aren't they, Mr. Duncan? If you're talking about moving away from home,
yes.
If you move and you relocate, you can use those words interchangeably.
That's it. Quite often relocate is something more specific. So normally if you're talking about something very specific, so I've had a promotion at work, but I will need to relocate. So you are expressing very clearly there that because of one thing you have to change not just where you are but your whole life. So relocating is really about taking your whole life and living in a new place, a different place, and quite often a place that you are completely unfamiliar with.
Yes, you'd use relocate if you were changing jobs and moving to a new location, where you would use the phrase if you were moving house. You would just say you were moving house. You wouldn't say you were relocating unless it was a new. Relocating means probably, doesn't it, going from one destination to a further away destination.
That's it. Yes, it's normally it's specifically about having to literally take everything, your whole existence, and going somewhere else. Which
your
is
job, your house, everything.
Of course,
going.
I did that. Didn't I? Remember the thing I did, Steve?
Yes, you went off to China.
I went off to China to live, and there you can see me in Tiananmen Square. And this was way back in 2003, which is why I look very young in the photograph before anyone says anything. So there I am in Tiananmen Square. I went to China, so I had to relocate, not to another town, but to another country, and a country that had a very different culture from the one I was used to. So there you can see I am in China, and I lived there for over 4 years. Do you want to see another photograph, Steve?
Go on. I've probably seen them all, but I'll see another one.
Oh, look. There I am with some of my lovely students.
They look very happy.
They are very happy, and we used to have just so much fun. We were laughing all the time, and they were quite fond of Mr. Duncan as well. But then, you know, I can't really blame them for that, to be honest. You know, I mean, you know, what can I do? You know, it's just nature. You see, it's just nature. I'm such a likable person.
And then you relocated back to the UK again.
Yes, and then I came back because I was missing everything here. Ooh. But did I regret coming back to the UK? Well, yes, I did. I regretted it for quite a while. But then, in another way, I was very pleased to be back. So it was kind of a double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword.
So in one way, I was happy. In another way, I wasn't happy. It was very strange. Some days I would feel very glad to be back. And then other days, I would feel really, really unhappy. Because I wanted to, you know, teach in China again and help all those people that I used to help with their English. And I was very busy during my time in China. Very busy indeed.
Do you think you'll ever go back, Mr. Duncan?
Who knows? Who knows? It looks as if Steve might be making a suggestion there. Do you want me to go?
Well, leave it another few months.
Okay then. What, until I finish the decorating?
Yes, finish all the decorating first. Decorating, yes. There's another subject. I've started decorating today because I keep trying to badger Mr. Duncan into doing the decorating. If we say we're trying to badger someone, it means you're sort of nagging them a lot. You're constantly talking to them. Will you start the decorating? When are you going to do the decorating? Are you going to do it tomorrow? Badgering somebody, sort of going on and on about them doing something until they do it.
That's it. You nag.
Yes.
Nag.
Badgering. I don't know why they call it badgering. I don't know whether badgers, where that phrase comes from.
Me neither.
You badgered me into doing live English with you on a Sunday. Oh, come on, Mr. Steve. Well, Steve, you didn't call me Mr. Steve. We only call because we only call each other. I call you Mr. Duncan, you call me Mr. Steve. But we only do that when we're doing live English. It's quite funny, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know why I call you Mr. Duncan.
Well, most people did in China, you see. This is what happened. The reason why a lot of people ask, why do you call yourself Mr. Duncan? And the reason why I call myself that is because that's what everyone called me in China, including all of my students. So all the time I was called Mr. Duncan. So when I returned back to the UK, I suppose it just stuck. It stuck with me. And even Mr. Steve calls me Mr. Duncan.
Isn't that because in China it's something about the surname comes before the surname comes before the first name, doesn't it, in China?
Yes.
Is that right? So that's why you're called Mr. Duncan, because they think Duncan is your surname, because in China the surname and the first name are the other way round compared to in the UK. Is that correct?
That's it. You are spot on there.
So yes, exactly.
But it's not unusual if you go abroad to find that people will just address you by your first name as a title. So Mr. Duncan or Mr. Steve, even though Duncan is my first name and your first name is Steve.
That's it.
These aren't the family names.
Or the surnames.
But I think it's much easier to do that, you see. So it's easier just to use the person's first name. So Mr. Duncan, Mr. Steve. So that's the reason why I do that. That's the reason why I address myself and people address me as Mr. Duncan, because that's what they did in China when I lived there.
But you'd never do that in the UK. You'd never call, say somebody was called Paul Smith. Paul is the first name, Smith is the surname. Or the Christian name and the surname, where you'd never call anybody here I would never call them Mr. Paul. I would call them Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Because we'd always, their surname would be always come after the Mr. or the Mrs. Could be Mrs. Smith. Whereas obviously in China, would they be called Smith Paul, and so therefore they think it would be Mr. Paul? Is that how it works in China? Does the surname come before the first name, or do they just call people?
They will just naturally call the person by their first name. So if it's
Right.
if it's Dave, they'll say Mr. Dave. if it's Samantha, it'll be Miss Samantha or Mrs. Samantha. So quite often the first name or the given name will be always used. The live chat is very busy, by the way. Relocating.
Yes. Is anyone going to relocate to Much Wenlock?
Yes, you can also migrate, although having said that, migrate normally means to move to another country.
Yes.
So if you migrate, a bit like the birds, really, that's what the birds do. They migrate. They go to another country, they fly away. So that's what I did in 2003. I migrated to China.
Would you use migrate for human beings?
Yes, of course.
But that's more if there's been some unrest. You would normally describe that to a group of people, wouldn't you?
Yes, but you can
Migrating.
migrate because if one person comes to a country, we describe them as an immigrant. So
Yes.
from abroad. So you migrate, it means to leave. It means you go to another place, normally another country. So you migrate, just like the birds do.
Yes. And they might not necessarily have a reason to go. They might not have a specific job to go to. So it may be that they're just escaping from poor conditions at home.
Again, they might be running away from the police.
Yes, 'cause if you relocate, that means you've got something specific to go to, as you said earlier. But if you were to migrate to another country, that would be because you're just looking for opportunities.
You know what? I've just
you
thought
wouldn't
of
be going
something.
because you would go somewhere and then you would find something when you migrated to that other country. Sorry, Mr. Duncan, go on.
I've just thought of something. I've just thought of a great question. If you could live anywhere in the world, you know what's coming next. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Let's have a look at the live chat.
Let's have a look.
Where would you like to live if you had a chance to live anywhere? I know lots of people are going to say England, I'm sure. Where would you like to live if you could have the chance to emigrate? Emigrate. Where would you like to go to?
Marta says that I'm pronouncing often. I'm pronouncing the T in often.
Yes, whereas I often don't.
Yes, you can leave out the T in that. I think it just depends on where you... Yes, it's not really an accent. It's just... Well, I suppose it's... if you go often, that's quite posh, I think.
Well, some people say often, some people say often.
Yes,
but
it doesn't matter.
both are acceptable, and it's not just about accent, it's also about just sort of the local dialect or maybe the way people pronounce certain words. So quite often you can have the accent can relate to the sound of the speech, but also the way in which certain words are pronounced.
I think actually often is quite often posh.
Yes, I think often.
Often
Often.
is-
I only say often because it's just easier to say. Often. I
Just
often
the
go
way
to
I was brought up to say often.
often. Often.
Well, the nicest places in the world, according to... This was ranked, wasn't it? It's often... I think every year they rank the best places in the world to live. They do these polls around the world. And quite often Canada comes very highly up there. And I'm trying to think where else usually comes quite high up.
Well, I think
Barcelona comes very high up
yes,
on the list as well.
I think also if you asked people in this country, in the UK, many would say, I would say off the top of my head, I would say Australia. I would say
Yes,
a lot of
Australia.
people dream of starting a new life in Australia. So I would imagine that would be quite a good one. And also New Zealand as well.
New Zealand, that's a very popular place for people in the UK to locate to. Spain is a very popular place for people to relocate
That's
to
where-
in the UK.
That's where Antonio is watching at the moment. Hello, Antonio,
Ah.
watching in Spain.
Oh, Antonio, yes. A lot of... I've been to Madrid. Antonio, I've been to Madrid. It was it was the cleanest city I've ever been to. I remember it being just so clean. And we went to see Real Madrid play football. And there was a lot of mess caused outside the stadium before we went in, due to the lots of people and people selling burgers and various souvenirs. When we came out, it was spotlessly clean.
Ah.
I've never known such a clean city.
So as people were making a mess, they were clearing it up.
Yes, as soon as it was just amazing.
Incredible, impressive.
And they've got a super fast railway system.
And this is where Barcelona.
In Madrid. I think it goes from Madrid to... I can't remember where it goes to now. But they've got this incredibly fast railway.
Mm.
Maybe we can be told where that is. I think it goes to Seville or somewhere like that.
Ooh.
But it's a very, very... I think it goes at about 200 miles an hour or something like that.
Well, that's pretty fast. Yes, I like
yes.
the sound of that. So let's have a look where people want to live. I would like to go to the North Pole, says Kamel. I'm not sure if you're being serious there. Julia, I would like to go to the seaside. So anywhere that is beside the sea.
Yes, that's lovely to live near the sea.
Jamelia would like to live in Paris or London. I saw someone earlier say Much Wenlock.
Yes.
Why would you want to move here?
It's all right as long as you're you want a very, very quiet life.
Yes, and also you want everyone to know your business.
Finland is very clean. It is. I've been to Finland, and it is a very clean country. Whereas the UK isn't really. We've got a bit of a litter problem in the UK. Can't remember the capital of Finland. I went there a number of years ago, but I can't remember the capital now. Oh, that's annoying me.
I want to say Reykjavik, but I know that's wrong.
That's Iceland.
That's Iceland. I always get Iceland.
Ooh, somebody tell me the capital of Finland. I can't remember.
I always get Iceland and Finland mixed up. I don't know why my silly brain.
Well, they're both quite cold. We went in February, and it was -13, and they said they were having a heat wave.
Now everyone is bringing the answer up. By the way, Mr. Steve.
Oh, don't show me yet. Let me see if I can guess.
Okay then.
I should know. I've been there at least on 2 occasions.
Yes.
Oh, I can't remember. Tell me.
Everyone is writing it on the screen, so there it is.
Helsinki. That's it. I was with a large choir in Birmingham, and we went to sing in they've got a big when Sakari Oramo.
Oh yes,
Sakari Oramo, who's from Finland,
very famous
conductor.
Famous conductor.
I was singing with the Birmingham Symphony Chorus, and he was our conductor, and we went on a tour to Finland.
Ooh.
And very nice it was too. And he's a very good conductor. I think he's moved on to even higher things now. I can't remember what we went to sing there, so don't ask me that. I think it was Dream of Gerontius.
Dream of Gerontius is an amazing piece.
I'm sure that's what we were singing there. Or
yes.
it could have been... yes, I can't remember if anyone's
Yes.
into classical music.
Because you've done the Messiah a few times.
Beethoven's not with Birmingham. I've sung the Messiah. I haven't sung that many times.
Okay.
But I've sung Beethoven's Ninth Symphony several times.
But Dream of Geronti is a very amazing piece. I love the final movement of Dream of Geronti. Oh my!
You knew that, Mr. Duncan.
It shakes the whole stage. Well, we watched it, didn't we?
You're thinking of Mahler's Ninth Symphony.
No, I like Dream of Geronti as well. We listened to it on Radio 4.
But the one that has the really dramatic ending. is Mahler's Mahler 8, not
Oh,
9.
well-
What am I talking about? Mahler's 8th Symphony.
I like
It's an
Mahler.
amazing ending.
I must admit, I do like Mahler. His
Anyway,
music.
we're getting very classical.
Well, it doesn't matter. Why does that matter?
I don't know.
No, it has no.
We went to this lovely island near Helsinki.
Okay.
We went across in a boat. It wasn't that far. It was only about 20 minutes. And they had an old fort on there. It was fascinating. It was very cold, but not as cold as it should have been for February. It all made us laugh when they said they were having a heat wave, and it was minus 13. Edward Elgar, that is correct. Who was born in Malvern in Worcestershire.
He's a
which
British
is,
person.
in the UK, in England, and Malvern is a beautiful place, and we've both been to there. Lovely rolling hills, and the inspiration for a lot of his pieces of music was the local scenery.
Yes, the Malvern Hills.
Malvern Hills. A friend of mine lives near there.
Oh yes, your friend. Hello, Julie. Hello, Julie in the Malvern Hills.
She's not watching us.
I'm sure she isn't. I'm sure she's got better things to do than watch me and you.
Are we going to talk about uses of the word set?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. No one wants to hear the uses of the word set.
If you do, let us know. If not, we'll just carry on rambling.
The big question this year is, will we actually get around to doing that? Will we actually get around to telling you all about the uses of the word set? I don't know, because also we're talking about personal information as well. So over the past few days, Steve, a lot of people have been talking about Facebook, because Facebook I'm not sure, I still don't know if they're in trouble. So are they being punished? Because I feel as if they're not going to be punished at all.
I don't think they're going to be punished.
I don't think anything is going to happen. In about a month from now, everyone will forget about this, and they will all go back on Facebook, clicking on all of those links. So you know the sort of thing I mean, that they're all on Facebook. So, take this personality test. Now, what that really is someone taking your personal information. So they're using your profile and the information you give and putting it together to come up with something that they can sell.
Yes.
So that's the problem. The problem is people are clicking on too many things, all of the rubbish that exists on the internet. Stop clicking on rubbish. Please stop clicking on everything that comes up on your screen. My mum does the same thing. My mum keeps saying, "Oh, why is this thing on my computer? I can't get rid of it." And I said, "What have you been clicking? Do you keep clicking things? When things come up on your screen, don't always click the things that come up on your screen, especially if they are offering something that seems too good to be true."
The only thing you should click on is Mr. Duncan's lessons.
There's only one thing you should click on. There should be only one address in your taskbar, and that is Mr. Duncan at YouTube, or youtube.com Mr. Duncan, or Duncan in China. There it is. You can see the actual address behind me. So there it is. Can you see it? Just over there. So there it is. There is my YouTube address. That is the only address you should have inside your computer. Nothing else.
We won't steal any data.
We won't take any data. We don't want your data.
We're not going to take your data and sell it to Facebook or to Cambridge Analytica
or anybody. No one. So, but don't click on everything that comes up on your computer. I know this happens a lot, and that's the reason why most people get viruses in their computer. That's the reason why, because they're going on the internet and they're clicking on everything they see. I click on that, click on that, click on that. Now I rarely click on anything. I rarely click on anything that I don't recognize.
Really?
And for the same reason as the reason I just gave, is because you're giving more away than you realize. And it's not just Facebook, by the way. It's also Google. Google and YouTube, they do the same thing. Twitter does it. Even through your email, you can give more information away than you realise. I always get emails from rich millionaires who live in Nigeria, and they always want to give me their millions. It's always, Mrs. Habuka died last week. She has left £1 million and she wants you to have it. Could you please send me your personal details, your name, your address, your date of birth, your job, your bank account details, and your credit card PIN number so we can send you the money? Who would reply to that? No one. So please don't click on everything. Don't click on everything that comes up on your computer. That's what my mum does. She just clicks everything.
I think we've got the message.
This is important. I will click on that. This is important. And then my mum's computer won't work, and she says, "What's wrong?" I said, "You've got viruses. You've got all sorts of things." So there. That's it. I'm okay. By the way,
your lecture for the day. Don't click on anything.
Did you enjoy that? Well, it's just something,
went on a bit.
It's very frustrating. That's what I'm talking about. It's so frustrating, especially when people complain about the internet. They blame the internet, but sometimes it's their own fault for just clicking on everything.
What's happening outside? What's happening on the live chat?
The live chat is very busy. Lots of people are saying, "Mr. Duncan, we agree with you." So, you see? There are dangerous emails as well. Yes, you are right. It's recurrent to sell information with Facebook. That's why I don't have a Facebook account. Thank you, Kamel. But to be honest, they all do it. Facebook does it. YouTube does it. Google does it. Twitter, Snapchat, all the other ones as well. They all have information. Even your bank. And you know the thing that annoys me, Steve, is when you get a new email address. So you get a new email address and you don't tell anyone what it is, but somehow you still get junk. Someone somewhere still knows your email address, even though you haven't really given it to anyone.
Well, yesterday I was watching some videos of Spanish people speaking English.
Okay.
Because I want to speak English with a Spanish accent, because I've mentioned it before. I'm in this amateur dramatic production in a few weeks' time. And I'm trying to perfect the accent. And there was one particular person I was watching. He was very good, and I wanted to put a like on the video. It was a YouTube video. But I couldn't just put a like on it. It took me to opened up a window, and it wanted all my details. I'd got to register on Google before I could like this particular video. So it wanted I thought, all right then. It wanted my name, email address, which I thought that's fair enough. But then it wanted my date of birth as well, and I thought, I'm not giving my date of birth away, and it wouldn't let me continue unless I gave the date of birth information. All I wanted to do was like this video, and it wouldn't, so I gave up in the end. So sorry, I can't remember. It's Sebastian, whoever your name is, from I think he's Spanish, living in America. Very good videos, but I couldn't like them because it wanted too much information. I thought, no, I'm not going to give that.
And this happens all the time now. You can't really do anything now. Amazon is the same. One of the things that annoys me about Amazon is when you want to just give something a star. So you say, oh, I like that, I like it, but then they force you to give a review as well. But sometimes you don't want to give a review, you just want to give it 4 stars or 5 stars. But then they say, oh, thank you for the stars, but now write a review. But they don't give you a choice, so you still have to write the review. So I find that a little bit annoying, to be honest.
Let's look at the Belarusia there. Said that her grandparents were born in Belarus, in Poland, and in the First World War they relocated to Argentina. Well, that was a very sensible move. Very sensible move, I would say, bearing in mind what happened afterwards.
Yes, because people always think of the Second World War being an unsettled time, but of course for many years afterwards it was also unsettling for those who were affected. So I think that's very fair to say. So yes, you think of the war ending and then everything being perfectly okay and super again, but it was a few years before everything really got back to normal.
Well, we had another war after that one. After the First World, yes, yeah, there we go. That was the First World War. So yeah,
yes.
Don't we have any ads between our programs? I thought we did.
Any what? Sorry.
Andrew says nice because you don't have any ads between the program.
Oh, I see. Yes. Don't worry.
Supposed to be ads
later on when the recorded version comes on. There will be plenty of ads because you know what I'm having to do now. So this year I have spent so much money, haven't I, Steve?
Yes.
On this studio and on the equipment. So now I'm running some new equipment, and it's the thing that allows the live stream to actually broadcast to you. And what I'm having to do now is test this for maybe two months. Yes, I think I've got 2 months free of this. So for free I can have this for 2 months, and then I have to decide whether I want to pay for it or not. So it's even more expenditure. I've spent so much money, and of course from my lovely Patreon supporters and also my lovely friends who have donated money through PayPal. By the way, I suppose it's a good moment to mention that. PayPal me, Mr. Duncan, there it is. That is my little PayPal page where you can make a little donation. So now I have to buy a new encoder because the one that I had before didn't work very well. So I'm now using that encoder, and this is my PayPal address for those who want to make a little donation. So more expenditure, more money that I have to spend. Oh my goodness, it's so expensive doing this. So please, yes, there will be lots of ads later on. In fact, there will be moments of Mr. Duncan in between the adverts. So the adverts will be longer than than me talking. No, not really. By the way, I'm only joking. To quote Mr. Steve, that's what Mr. Steve would say. I'm only joking. Joke. 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 So the live chat, very busy. Uses of the word set. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, yes, it's every person's responsibility to manage their internet page, says Mika. Yes, I think people should be more responsible when it comes to clicking on things, clicking on anything that comes up on their screen. I think so. So sometimes people's information gets taken away because they don't take care. I'm putting that in a very polite way. Can you tell, Steve?
Pedro's asking you whether you take part in any sports.
I don't play sport. I sometimes watch sport. I used to be interested in football when I was little. And today, by the way, there is a match taking place between Wolverhampton and Birmingham City. And apparently Wolverhampton are having a very good period at the moment. They are winning so many games, and it looks as if they are going to go back up into the main league, because they were relegated about 3 or 4 years ago, sadly. And now they are fighting. They are playing as well as they can to get back into the major league. So a very big match taking place today between Birmingham City and Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Thank you, TS, for your comment there. That is absolutely correct.
Well, what's that?
I wasn't going to read it out, but
oh no, I can see.
uh,
We can see the message.
you,
But
Tias, you're absolutely correct there.
yes, don't say anything.
I won't say anything. Nicole says that I'm looking very serious today.
You do look very serious. You look
Do
very,
I?
You look very intense.
I've got things on my mind. I'm troubled. I need calming down. I'm having to do. I'm redoing meditation again. To I think we talked about this before. To try and calm me down. To stop all that negative self-talk that goes on in your head sometimes.
Oh, it looks as if Lena is going for a picnic. I
Oh.
am having a picnic with my parents and my family friends. We are starting the picnic season. Ah, yes, so I guess the weather is quite nice there now where you are. Oh, thank you, Lena, for letting me know, and I hope you have a super duper day on your picnic.
Somebody just Andrew there has described a funny advert containing the Pink Panther with
Oh, I
Steve
see.
Martin.
Oh.
How fascinating. We'd like to see that.
Oh, I know which one that is. Yes, he says, I know which one. Yes, it's Steve Martin when he made the rather terrible Pink Panther film. He thought he could be Jacques Clouseau. Now, I'm a big fan of Steve Martin. I think he's brilliant. But I think one of the worst things he ever did was try to play the role that was made famous by Peter Sellers. And there is only one Inspector Clouseau, and that is Peter Sellers. So it wasn't very good. But there is a scene where he's trying to learn English.
Oh.
And he's saying, I would like to buy an hamburger. I would like to buy an hamburger. And he's trying to say hamburger. So instead of saying hamburger, he says hamburger. Hamburger.
We'll have to watch that advert.
Yes, it's actually
Duncan.
not an advert. It's a clip. It's a
Oh.
clip from one of the movies, but maybe someone is using it
Yes.
as a way of teaching
I think
English.
that's what the suggestion was.
Ooh.
There, but yes, interesting.
But I do like Steve Martin, but I think he made a very bad decision trying to play the part of Inspector Clouseau. Hello.
I'm
men-
trying not to look so serious. I'm trying to look happier.
That's it. I think Mr. Steve has a lovely twinkle.
Shall I just smile? Do you notice some people, if you're very happy and you smile with your entire face, including your eyes, that looks good. But some people, if you notice, you know when they're smiling but they're not serious about it, they're pretending to be happy when the eyes aren't smiling as well. So the eyes stay the same and they just do that.
Yes. Oh, it is raining. It is.
because
I can hear the rain now, by the way. Let's just have a look. Yes, I think it actually is raining.
Does that mean that you've got a microphone out there, Mr. Duncan?
My little microphone will get wet.
Do you want me to go and take it in for you?
No, it's okay. Oh, can you see there's a crow in the garden.
Oh,
Can you see the crow?
somebody asked earlier what that pink bush was. Somebody asked us the other day. It's Heather. Heather.
Heather. And of course,
Which,
Heather can be a girl's name.
Heather can be a girl's name, and there are two types of heather. There's one that flowers at this time of the year, a sort of February, March, April time, and there's another type of heather that flowers in the summer.
Oh.
And the one the plant just in front of it is the summer flowering heather, and that one won't flower until probably August.
I'm very distracted by the bird, by the way. I'm watching the crow. There's a big crow walking around on
You're
the
not
lawn.
normally distracted by birds.
There it goes.
It's hopping off.
It's gone. It's gone. It was looking for some food. Okay, back to Mr. Steve. Something from one form of wildlife to another. It's Mr. Steve.
So I am all alone in the corner of the studio.
I tell you what, because it's we were going to have mystery idioms today, but I haven't done those either.
Haven't you?
It's so busy today, so we'll have some mystery idioms next week. But it's been
Okay.
so busy today. I can't believe we've only got 9 minutes left.
9 minutes. I'm getting a bit hungry, so
Yes.
roll on.
Well, in
4
fact,
o'clock.
Yes, I think actually it's 7 minutes. I think 7 minutes left.
Roll on. If we use the expression roll on,
If you want something to roll on, it means you want it to happen soon.
you want
Come
it to
on,
happen soon. So
quickly.
I'm looking forward to having something to eat and a cup of tea at 4 o'clock. So roll on 4 o'clock.
Yes. So maybe I'm doing something lovely next Tuesday, and maybe something I'm really looking forward to, and I might say, oh, I can't wait. Roll on next Tuesday. It means I want Tuesday to come very quickly. Roll on.
Yes, exactly. And if you're at work and it's lunchtime, and then you know what it's like just after lunch, you know you've got another few hours of work, you might say, roll on 5:30 when I can go home. Or roll on Friday, because then it's the weekend and I don't have to work.
Someone is trying my way of making coffee. Andrejenik says, Mr. Duncan, your coffee is excellent. I am doing it now. I am doing now only this greeting from the Czech Republic. Oh, I see. So you have tried to make coffee in the same style as I did about 2 weeks ago. Oh, I see. Okay, then that's good. Are we going to have a picture of your kitchen? Well, we were thinking of doing something whilst we are doing the work, but we're not sure yet, are we, Steve?
No, I've started doing it. We were going to have a new kitchen, but I can't afford it. So we're restoring the old kitchen, which actually is in very good condition. It's very old. It's about 30 years old, but the wooden cabinets are in very good condition. So I am restoring them because it's a shame to get rid of them. I love to recycle things and use things again. So I'm going to paint these, varnish them. These they're sort of natural wood with a very light varnish on them. So I'm going to restore them because they're looking very faded in some areas. Then we're going to paint. We're going to take off the old wallpaper. Well, hopefully, Mr. Duncan is going to do that. And then we're going to paint it. I'm going to get a new light fitting, maybe a new bit of flooring, and it's going to look like new again.
Yeah, so we're not going to do anything too dramatic. So I'm going to take some of the wallpaper off, and then we're going to paint, and then we are going to renovate. That's a great word. We are going to renovate all of the wooden cupboards.
Yes.
Because they are, as you said, they must be over 30 years old. So
they are about 30 years old, but they're actually, I mean, obviously we didn't put them in because we've only been here 5 years, but it must have been a very expensive kitchen when it was first put in.
Well, it's oak, isn't it? Oak.
Yes, they're oak cupboards. So all they need is a little bit of restoring, and I think they'll look spectacular. So I'm going to do that. It needs a new floor, which should be a new bit of lino, and once we've painted it and had a nice new light fitting, it will look like a new kitchen.
Let's be honest, that kitchen at the moment is a complete mess. We've done nothing to it since we moved here.
We've been very lazy.
Well, I wouldn't say lazy. It's just that we've done the rest of the house. So I did so much work, including in here. So this whole studio was painted and decorated and all arranged by me. So there we go. So we are getting around. We are finally getting around to actually renovating the kitchen, and you might get to see some moments of us actually doing it on the live stream. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens.
We can do a before and after because you've done many videos, including the one about making the coffee recently. You did that in the kitchen, so people can see what that looks like. I don't think the tiles are very in poor condition, but I don't think we can replace all those. That's just going to be I think we'll just sort of, I'll give them a coat of paint, a new coat of paint, and they'll look very nice.
Yes, Olga says it looks as if your kitchen needs a little bit of colour. Yes, I think so, and maybe everything needs just brightening up because it's just old. Let's face it, everything. Once something gets old, it loses its beauty. I know the feeling.
Rome.
Sorry?
Anna. Anna says that I think she's in Rome.
Oh, Rome is a very nice place, very busy, lots of traffic, but you have some very nice places to visit. Yes, Rome is, again, a very romantic place.
And that's where the Romans came from.
Yes. Mr. Duncan, you are great. Thank you, Shivas, for your lovely greeting. We are going in about 2 minutes. Can you believe it, Steve?
2 minutes?
Yes, it's gone so fast.
Oh, blimey. Marta's got a halo over her head.
Marta.
One of the pictures.
Thank you from Karadas for teaching us. Oh, I think maybe that's someone else on the live chat. Sukat, your kitchen looks very nice. Maybe some decor. Yes, we are going to do a little bit of work on the kitchen because it does look slightly worn out.
Worn out. Yes. So, and yes, somebody asked earlier. We are having salmon again tonight.
Really?
I've defrosted the salmon. Somebody asked us. So yes, it's Sunday. It's Salmon Sunday.
So this is what I was on about earlier. People know more about us, Steve, than we know about them. So there are so many people watching on the live chat and watching us every week, but we don't know anything about them. But
No.
they know so much about us and our little habits.
We're always spilling the beans on our lives.
For example, on Sundays we always have salmon.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how that information will be useful to Google, but just in case Google is listening, you can sell that. You can sell that very important information that Mr. Duncan likes to eat salmon on Sunday. I don't know what use it will be, to be honest.
It's good for you. We'll be healthy after that, and then we'll ruin it all by having a bar of chocolate as well.
I tell you what we are doing tonight, Steve. We are going to watch our favourite TV presenter tonight. There he is. Look, can you see him on the screen?
Oh!
Our favourite TV presenter tonight, Peter
The one on the
Simon.
right.
Peter Simon, the one on the right. He's our favourite
He's mad.
TV host. He works on a shopping channel, and every weekend we always watch it. We don't watch anything else. We were supposed to watch the new Star Wars film last night, but we didn't. Instead, we watched this guy. Look, there he is again doing his exercises. This is absolutely hilarious. We love this guy so much. He is so funny.
If he knew, though, all we do is watch the programme, but we've never bought anything.
We've never bought anything from the shopping. We've never brought anything from the shopping channel, but we do watch it all the time. And there he is. Look at that. And watch in a moment. Watch the cameraman. The cameraman has the camera right up between his legs. Look. And again.
Have we got any sound? I don't suppose. No, we can't play the sound.
I'm not playing sound because of copyright, but there he is again. So there's Peter Simon, our favourite TV host.
He's very funny.
We don't watch anything else. We have about 130 channels on our television, and the only thing we watch is this guy.
That repeats of Top of the Pops from 1985. And Family Guy.
Yeah.
American Dad.
Yeah.
And so are we going to watch... so we're not going to watch Star Wars tonight, then?
I don't think we're going
The Last Jedi.
We're not
going to watch
the,
that tonight.
We're not going to watch the new Star Wars film because it's rubbish.
Oh.
I'm not wasting £4.99 on watching a terrible, terrible movie.
He wants to watch it, really.
I don't want to watch it.
Well, you wanted to watch it last night.
I will be watching... tonight... Guess what I'm watching tonight? Tonight I'll be watching this. I'm going to watch Peter Simon selling his Vibra Power for exercising.
Oh, he's always selling that one.
Yes, he always... But it's great, isn't it? I just love watching
That can't be good for your joints. I don't care what you say. That cannot be good for your joints.
Anyway, let's be careful what we say. I don't want to be sued by the makers of Vibra Power, to be honest.
Maybe you shouldn't have mentioned the name of the product, and then we'd have been all right.
I should not have said Vibra Power.
Let's have a quick look at the live chat, shall we?
Let's have a look at the live chat before I get cut off.
The Persuaders. Yes. We did used to watch the Persuaders with.
Oh, I know the theme. Doon doon da doon 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 da doon 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 da doon doon da doon do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
Down down
Do,
down.
do, 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 do. Yes, it was very good. Roger Moore.
Roger Moore,
Yes.
or as he's known now, Roger Less.
Bella Sheb says, "Where am I from? I was actually born in London, and I'm in sales."
People recognise the music. Oh, thank you very much. Did you enjoy our version of the theme tune to the?
It's one of my favourite theme tunes to any programme. Is that one?
No, the other one I like is Randall and Hopkirk.
Of course, we know Sue Cat's about the same age as us. Well, she's a bit younger than me, but only about 4 years younger.
I like the theme tune to Randall and Hopkirk, and that's very similar actually, because the same guy wrote the music. There was one guy who wrote all of the music for these TV shows that were around in the late 60s. So you had Randall and Hopkirk, I think you had the Persuaders, and the theme tune and the people that made those two shows were the same people. So that's why they were very similar.
When I was, that was been in the 1970s, wouldn't it? That program.
1960s.
Oh,
Yes, the late 1960s.
it must have been repeated a lot in the 1970s.
Yes, you
I
had.
used to record. I have got recordings. I used to have this little tape recorder, very exciting cassette recorder, because cassette players came out in the 1970s as an alternative to the big reel-to-reel, and I used to record all the signature tunes of all the television programs. I've got about 20 tapes upstairs of all these signature tunes, and I used to remember them all. And I remember being laughed at school once because we had a music, I think once a week we had like a music class. It wasn't anything spectacular, and they asked the class, what was your favourite music, and the people, they were all saying the Beatles or whatever the latest pop group was, and I said the theme tune from some television program. They all laughed at me.
I wonder
so there
why.
you go.
I wonder why.
I'm getting hungry, Mr. Duncan.
Were you beaten up much at school?
No,
Oh.
I wasn't. Actually, people used to think that they could beat me up, and I used to get into one or two fights, and they were very surprised that I would always retaliate.
Oh.
And I was a lot stronger than they thought I was. They thought I was a bit weak and a bit pathetic. And you know what it's like at school. Once you've shown them that you aren't as weak as they think you are, they never touch you again after that. So I remember one particular fight. Somebody was bullying me at school, and then we got into a fight, and I beat him in this fight. And then after that, nobody picked on me again after that.
Nobody picked a fight with Mr. Steve.
No, because once I'm very calm, but once I've lost it, that's it.
When Mr. Steve loses his temper, he really loses it.
That's it. I do. Nothing and nobody is safe from my wrath.
He blows his top.
That's what they say about quiet people. They're all right, but if you push them over the edge, beware.
I love this. Steve wants to go, and now, shall we go then?
Go on.
Shall we go?
Let's wave. Let's say ta-ta for now.
Well, you go first, because what I want to do is I want to prove to people that we are live with the garden. So if it stopped raining, which I think it has, I think it's actually stopped raining now. So I want you to go outside and give us a little wave on the live camera, just to prove that is live outside.
I'll go and scare the squirrel off.
So
all right then.
We'll see you on Wednesday night, Steve.
See you Wednesday night.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Steve is going now. Mr. Steve is going outside. He's going to give us a little wave. So let's see what happens when he goes outside. I hope it's not raining still. Is it raining still? Is it still raining, Mr. Steve? That's the big question. So let's see what happens. So I've got the microphone on now outside, and we'll get Mr. Steve to say goodbye. Oh, come on, Mr. Steve, where are you? What's he doing? Oh, where's he going? There he is. Except that's it. So there's Mr. Steve running around. Oh dear. Okay, Steve, we get it. Okay, Steve, thanks. Right. Where is he? Is he there? We didn't see him. We missed him. I didn't put the camera. There he is. There's Mr. Steve. Sorry, I missed him out then. I didn't put him on camera. Mr. Steve? Where are you? He's gone. Well, that was a way to end a live stream if ever there was one. There he is. There's Mr. Steve. Anyway, we're going now. It's time to say goodbye, and maybe we will have some fun and games next week, because apparently next week the weather is going to get very warm next week. They have said that the temperature in the UK is going to rise next week, so I'm getting very, very excited by that. Mr. Steve is going to be so furious when he finds out that I forgot to put the camera on outside. He's going to be so angry. I thought it was on, you see, because I've got my new encoder. That's the reason why. And it wasn't on. You didn't see it, but he was running around all over the place. Anyway, I'm going now. Thank you very much. A last look at the live chat. Thank you very much to Tias, Anna, Jamelia, Sukat, Katie G, Kamel, Marta, and also to Nicole, and to everyone else watching on the live chat. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here today. It's been great, and we are going now. Thank you, Olga. Thank you to everyone on the live chat. Don't forget, I am back on Wednesday. You can catch me on Sunday at 2 p.m. and also Wednesday at 10 p.m. UK time. Don't forget UK time. So both of those times relate to the time in the UK, please. Sunday 2 p.m, Wednesday 10 p.m. And don't forget, also underneath, all of my lessons and all of my videos are available under this video, the one you are watching now. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of the English language, saying thank you very much for following me for the past 2 hours and 9 minutes. And I will see you late and live on Wednesday. And of course, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. As I always say at the end of my live streams, ta-ta for now.